Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the My Empty Hands podcast. My name is Reggie Darden, and today I'm going to be chatting with Archie Thompson, and we're just going to go ahead and just dive right in, talk about Kempo, and our journeys through that. Just kind of a quick start of my journey. Uh, I started in the mid '90s doing what was essentially Tracy's Kempo, Tracy's karate. Um, did that for a few years. Got to about halfway to my brown belt, and that's when I left for the army. Uh, Fast forward, I guess, 24 years, maybe a little bit more than that. I ended up in a American Kempo school, and that's where I'm training now, and just recently earned my green belt. So pretty stoked about that, and excited to see what's going coming up next. And that's just enjoying the journey, enjoying how things are going, and just really
I
excited
just
for
want
the
to congratulate
future.
you on that green belt.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a nice about 5 hour test, so that was fun. Had a few hiccups, when I was asked to do. I got about halfway through. Got about halfway through blocking set two. When I got about halfway through coordination set two when I realized that I was asked to do blocking set two. So that was quite fun. Um, Totally forgot some of the freestyle techniques that I was supposed to do. Good old B5A, just totally blanked on that. So that was nice, and completely spaced on triggered salute, which really shocked me because that's a technique I really like, and for the life of me, I could not remember it. So that
A lot of
was.
times it's, just there's so much within the American Kempo system to remember. Whether it's
Mhm.
the 24 techniques per belt level, whether it's the extensions on those techniques, whether it's the short forms, the long forms, all the sets. It's a lot of material to
Yeah, yeah.
remember the name off the top of your head. Like, I commend all the American Kempoists that can just rattle those off because
Hmm.
I have a hard enough time with 60.
Yeah. Well, when I kind of shock some of the folks at the school that I'm at now, because the school that I started at, we did 40 techniques per belt, and so
Yeah.
at the school that I'm at now, we have 16 per belt.
Okay.
We did the 16 techniques, and
Okay.
people are like, "Oh man, there's so many things to remember," and it's like I have 40 each belt, so
I know, I
I'm
know. And
I'm
then
not
is that not
worried about
including
that.
the ABCDs?
Yeah, yeah. So
And those
so
are on top of it, right?
yeah,
Crash the Eagle A, crash the Eagle
yeah,
B.
exactly. Yes. So yeah, it's not too much, but I guess it kind of evens out because we didn't do freestyle, we didn't do the
Right.
terminology and the pledges, and so I guess it kind of evens out there as far as what to cram your brain with, but
Well, what I'll ask you is this, like, do you find a value to what you learned in the beginning? I know that you've transitioned over to the Ed Parker system, the American
yes.
Campbell system. Um, what I told my people here when I took over the school was don't forget what those lessons that you learned, you know, incorporate what you're learning now, the terminologies, the principles, the concepts, because motion is motion. Doesn't matter if you're doing Kempo, if you're doing Shotokan, if you're doing Jiu-Jitsu, whatever it is, motion is motion. There's only so
Exactly.
many ways you can throw a punch, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so what's the why? How can I apply the why to what I learned over here? Right? And you're going to find nuggets within that system that you learned that you're going to be able to apply to what you're doing now.
Exactly. Yeah, I still make time to to go through my previous material. When I started training again, I had the idea of going back and quote unquote finishing my training and in the Chinese Kempo and getting my black belt. Um, I've since kind of modified that because there's just there's a lot that I'm trying to put on my plate.
Right.
But I still go through my techniques, and I've got the breakdown of all of the techniques and stuff. So I still make some time to train those, and then also the forms since the American Kempo abandoned, or well, I shouldn't say abandoned, but um, the EPAC schools don't teach some of my favorite forms.
Mm,
I still practice those. So
yeah.
just because I adore them so much, and until I get some of the big ones in the system here, um, I'll continue to have my fun with those. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I definitely see a value, because it was the building blocks uh, for the system as we know it today. And and of course you still have what I call my the Kempo all-star techniques that you
Yeah. I
find
mean,
kind of in
I've
both, your
learned
five
thundering
swords, your
hammers.
thundering hammers, those those ones they're regardless of what kind of variation of Kempo you're doing, there's those techniques that seem to be in all of them.
Everybody,
So
they're just universal.
yeah, yeah. So, that's kind of my story here. So what I'd like to know is how did you get started in Kempo? How did you find it?
Sure.
And just kind of go
I
from there.
learned it on accident, like I think most people do. I didn't have a family member that was an instructor and really didn't know anything about martial arts, but um, I did get an invitation by some family members that lived a ways from us. They were going to be competing in a karate tournament, so me and my father went, and I stepped into this place, and to me, it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life. Everybody's running around in their uniforms, and they're kicking, and they're fighting, and they're
Hmm.
spinning stabs, and in my mind, I'm like, how the heck do I get in on this? You know what I mean? But I didn't know how to start. I didn't have any money, and I guess I don't know what you could call it, luck or stupidity. When you're a third year sophomore, you get sent to what they call a continuation high school just to make credits and get you out into the world. And there was this gentleman that was the security guard at the school, and he always had this group of fellows around him, students. And one day, one of them comes up and kind of starts talking. You ever thought about doing the martial arts? I'm like, yeah, martial arts seem cool, but I'm broke as hell. I ain't got nothing. And he goes, well, you should probably go talk to that guy because he has a school, you know. And so, like, the guy ended up coming over and talking, and he invited me over to the academy, and I just never left. And his name was Armando Deloa. He has since left us, but he was a Tracy Traco black belt from karate ways up in San Jose, and he had migrated down to Southern California where he met Mr. Sullivan and Mr. LaRue from the Karate Connection, and he trained and he did that system. So when I came in, he was no longer teaching the Tracy material, the Traco material. He was only focusing on the Chinese Kempo 60 techniques through Chuck Sullivan. And so, uh, yeah, I just never left, man. It was, I kind of, when I walked in, I just felt like I found my home.
Hmm.
And uh, I was with Mr. Deloa up into my second degree. And then I kind of branched out, did a few other things, and found my way back to Kempo a couple years later. And here's where we are. So
Excellent, excellent. What was the so you've done some other styles as well, or
I have. After I left Deloa's, I did a little bit of boxing, kickboxing, a little bit of jujitsu. Nothing major to write home about. I don't hold a rank in jujitsu or anything. I'm not going to claim that I am a jujitsu master. But I did decide to go in and start fighting other grown men with no shirts in cages. So I did have 10 mixed martial arts fights. So I did that for a few years, and I knew I was never going to be UFC level. That wasn't my intention, but I wanted to master the nerves, and I wanted to utilize that to become a better instructor. And I think that really helped because if you've never been in that high pressure situation, you can wear the rank all you want. But if you've never been in, oh shoot, this guy's going to punch me in the face and it's going to hurt. He's going to control me. He's going to beat me up. What am I going to do to survive that? What am I going to do to overcome? Right? I'm used to
Hmm.
being in the uncomfortable positions because I've been in the gym. I've been in there with monsters. I've been beat on and I've given some beatings, you know. But it was a great experience. I'm feeling it now. My
Yeah, I
body
could
still hurts
imagine.
from the experience, but it gives a different insight from somebody that's never been in a fight. And I know people will say, well, to be a good coach, you don't have to actually be a fighter. And it's like, you kind of do. You have to have at least done
Yeah,
something, right?
yeah,
And that's kind of where my mind is on it. It's I push my students, like I make them uncomfortable. Like I'll tap them a little bit, I'll hold them down, I'll get them frustrated. Okay, now what are you going to do to elevate yourself? What are you going to do to get out of this position? Or what have we learned to not get in this position in the future? Right?
hmm,
And I think that's huge. Like, oh, we're getting ready to compete. This is how we kind of control that. Okay, the emotions are going. That's the chemicals in the brain. How are we going to control that? Right? Focus on that. That is your goal. You have a goal. Don't worry about anything else except for your goal. What is the goal? Go out there and compete. I don't care if they win. I don't care if they lose. I want them to get out and compete. To me, it's not about the W. It's about the experience. And if you can control your emotions and you can compete well with other kids that do martial arts, if you get in the street, you're going to do a lot better on defending yourself and surviving because you've been there before. You can gauge the distance, you understand how to generate the power on the hits, and you know when you're outclassed and you just need to run away. And I tell my people that is completely, completely a valid thing to do. I was just explaining that to some of my students today. Sensei Archie comes up, or Sensei Archie's 300 pounds, 6'2". He grabs you, he's going to have some trouble. So if you're able to get out, don't try to fight me again. Put on your track shoes and run away. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There's definitely something to um, battle testing, battle testing. Sort of, you have to train. We train in this combat art, and I feel just told this is kind of totally my opinion, but we're there's a lot of schools that have gotten away from the idea that this is a a combat art, and it's kind of all about satisfying the kids, giving them something to do, um, and we we need to remember kind of the roots of that. So, okay, um, so you did some MMA fighting. Uh, how do you feel? I mentioned that feel that we've kind of, with the popularity of MMA, we've kind of gotten away from, I guess, the respect of the martial arts, and um, I feel like MMA is really its own thing now, and calling it martial arts, I don't feel really applies. And just kind of, what are your thoughts with that?
Um, I do agree. It's kind of its own thing compared to the more traditional side of what we do. But I have don't let what you see on TV sway you. You get into the gyms with these guys, and they're all great guys. All these guys, a lot of them would give you the shirt right off their back. You know, um, everybody, they come in to help each other get ready for their fights. They sacrifice their own bodies to help other people with their success. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And sometimes they see all the tattoos, the bald heads, the guys that just always seem like they want to fight. They don't realize, like, some of these guys are doing this to put food on their table. They're feeding their kids. It's the sport that they have chosen.
Hmm.
I respect it a lot, but it's just, you're always going to have those people that kind of feel that way. They see the McGregors, they see Colby Covington, they see a lot of the dudes that do a lot of the trash talking, and they think that's encompassing the whole sport. They don't realize it's the dudes grinding, in the gyms. And a lot of them are great dudes, man. The jiu-jitsu programs are awesome. They're working with kids. They're giving the opportunities to these kids that they otherwise would be out there maybe getting in trouble, writing on walls. This gives them something to focus on to better themselves, and hopefully down the line they perpetuate that and teach other kids themselves. And that's the philosophy I try to do here. It's the school's not for me; it's for everybody else. I could be home spending time with the family right now, but I do a little bit of sacrifice of my time and my body, and I come in here and I work with families, and we've had, I want this place to be a home to the people that, don't fit in on a baseball team or a soccer team or, I want this place, we'll take you, your family here,
Yeah.
we go at your pace. I don't expect you to be the next Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee or any of that. You come in here, you do your best, you have some fun. We barbecue every once in a while. Life is good. Just turn around and do what you can to help somebody else. That's my philosophy here.
Hmm.
And I'm very blessed because I've got people like, hey, like, when can I start helping out teaching? Right now. Work with this beginner. But I'm only an orange belt, and
Hmm. Yeah.
what I tell my students is if you consider me to have any kind of skill worth having, the only reason I have it is because I have taught so much.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? You have to analyze this stuff like crazy. You have to adapt it to every person that walks in the door. Why am I doing this? Well, I don't know. Let's analyze it, right? You get some of the weirdest questions, and it's like, I never thought about it that way. Or we come across new information. It's like, not very good at it and trying to learn how to play the bass guitar, right? But there's
Hmm.
similarities in there. There's timing, you know, the different notes. It's what's the tempo I want to use when I'm doing my kempo. What's the tempo? Okay, it's the same thing as if I'm playing music, right? Major and minor notes. The same thing with major and minor moves within kempo. Like, I'm not going to hit you super hard with every single strike, but if it happens to be there, I may glance an elbow through your chin as I'm going through somewhere else. It's just so much that you can pull, the mechanics of hitting a baseball. Okay, well, how do I generate the power hitting a baseball? Well, a lot of those mechanics may apply to the way I throw a punch. So it's looking at the art through, okay, how does a basketball player look at the art, right? How might they analyze what we're doing? And I analyze why are they doing it that way? Oh, well, how can I apply it to what I do in the karate, right? So, when we get so stuck on the kempo, it's like we can sometimes miss out on, okay, I can apply this thing that I learned it over here to my kempo. And that's really what I think it's all about. All of our shared life experiences are going to come together, and it's going to make us the kempoists that we are, right?
Exactly.
So I have to understand that there's not many people that are going to move like me. I'm, like I said, 6'2", 300 pounds. I move like an ogre. I've got a little 110-pound young lady that trains on my mats. She's not going to hit as hard, but she's going to be fast as heck, and she's going to be accurate, right? She's going to make that kempo work for her. And that is the key. Like, I can't only make. That's one thing that I really liked about my instructor. He did not create clones of himself. He allowed
Exactly.
all of his black belts to kind of specialize in their own thing, you know? And I think that's huge. Too many times us as instructors are like, no, you got to be just like me. Like in our minds, that's what it is. Well, it's
Hmm.
like, are we teaching the moves or are we teaching the principles and the concepts? We're not all going to
Exactly.
move the same, right?
Exactly.
I would love to move like some of these black belts. That's just not the way I move, right? So how do I make it work for me?
Yeah.
I do big guy kempo. That's what I do.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's not the how, it's the why, and all the pieces that that make up the foundation. Uh, and getting the blueprints of the training versus just mirroring, just carbon copying your instructor. It doesn't work that way, and uh, you know that's one of the things that I love about Kempo is that it is it is designed to be this ever evolving piece that you can fit to your experiences, your body style, your whatever variable. Kempo is really great at customizing and changing and fitting in. Um, so one of the things that uh, I really love, and I'll be dating myself here, but uh, brought it up with some of my other guests, is the Panther production videos back in the day.
Oh,
Um, Buddy of mine, we would get our hands on those videos whenever we could, and just try and absorb all of the great things. And one of the videos that really stuck out to me was a video of David German. He was mixing Kempo with Jiu-Jitsu, and
okay.
um, there was a technique that I really loved of him adding on some wrist locks and arm bars to the technique flashing wings,
Uh,
and that just really stuck with me. Um, and it just really showed how you can take a Kempo technique and you can mix in other things, and it just fits together so well, and it just flows together so well. And that it's definitely something that really I latched onto the latched onto and didn't feel that I was getting that same when I did taekwondo. It was fun, and I'm a kicker. I love kicking. um if I would like Kempo to have more kicking. um but I'd never felt like trying to do look at it from the self defense aspect.
mhm.
Um, I just didn't never felt like it those pieces fit. If I want to add in some boxing, if I want to add
Mhm.
in some Muay Thai or some Jiu Jitsu or whatever else, it felt kind of tacked on if I tried to do it in another art. And but Kempo just fits right in and slides right
Right.
in. So I love that.
And that is what's awesome. That's it can be very formulaic. There's a lot of people that stick to this is how this technique is done instead of looking at why are we doing the technique to begin with,
Hmm.
right? So people study the techniques, they don't study the concepts. I From yellow belt, what I teach is a majority of it fits all the way through black belt, right? Stances, the blocks. You don't learn new blocks as a black belt.
Hmm.
You learn all that stuff as a beginner, right? It's the same thing when you're doing jujitsu. One of the first things you learn is how to do an armbar. Okay, but what separates the white belt from the black belt? Just the fact that you know the black belt is just smoother at doing it. He's been doing it forever, right? He understands the mechanics behind that armbar, how to set it up, And in Kempo, we start, a lot of the same stuff that we're learning in yellow, orange belt, we should be focused on in black belt to make sure that, hey, the same principles are applying here. We're not learning new stances in black belt. There's no new blocks. It's just a reformulation of stuff that you most likely have already learned. And the sooner people understand that, where it's like, okay, I can really break apart these first couple belts, and that'll help propel me in my understanding of my brown black belt.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something in my training now, is that because we're doing the principles and that side of it, I felt and still feel like I get more now than I did when I was training before. At the school that I'm at now, I feel like I learned so much more by the time I got my orange belt
Mm-hmm.
than I did being almost a brown belt before. I love my original school, so
Right.
definitely not knocking them or anything like that. But just getting that why over the how has just been really really eye opening for me, and just I I'm just eating it up and just trying to take in all I can. So it's been
No, that's
really
awesome. Yeah, that was my instructor. He tried to go into a lot of the theories, the concepts, the understandings. He explained them to us in his own way, and I have just found over time that the Kempo community kind of talks in not a different language, but a different accent of the
mm-hmm,
language. So there's a lot of times where someone will be talking about something and they're explaining it. And I'm like, okay, this is the way my instructor explained the same thing. He just called it by a different name. And so, but I'm still evolving as a martial artist. Been doing it since 1999. Been with the Karate Connection the whole time under Chuck Sullivan. I feel very blessed. Last year he awarded me my 7th, so I feel very fortunate on that. But I made the decision to go out and to try to get more Kempo. So I and the only other Kempo organization I hold any kind of rank with, besides the Karate Connection, would be the Jeff Speakman 5-0 organization. I
mm-hmm,
hold an orange belt with them. And I like what the Speakman guys are doing.
mm-hmm,
They're rearranging things. Mr. Speakman's looking at it and he's going, let's put this technique here. Let's move this one over here. Let's take this one out. Let's add this concept in. And he's doing his best to do it. The mandate that Ed Parker gave to all of us, which was go out and evolve this thing. Don't let Kempo stay stagnant.
mm-hmm.
And by incorporating, they're seeing the need. The need is, hey, how are we going to deal with grapplers? And they're doing it in their way,
Yeah.
and that's perfectly fine. I look at it. A lot of people look at their masters and be like, "That's my master is the guy,"
Mm-hmm,
and he's one of the guys. He's one of them, Mr. Sullivan, the 4th black belt promoted in the United States in Kempo under Ed Parker, 4th or 5th. I think there's kind of he's not even sure sometimes. I think he says
mm-hmm.
5th.
Yeah.
Been with Ed Parker since 1959. Okay, been doing Kempo longer than Mr. Parker was alive. And for him, he scaled his system down. He went from the 240 system down to 60. Instead of doing all the forms, he's got one master form, a couple sets here and there. But what he wants you to know is learn these 60 techniques, get them down, and now we start breaking them apart and we start applying them here, start applying them there, we start linking them here. All of it interweaves together. And it was funny because when I first took over the school a couple weeks in, I was kind of explaining some of that, and I was pointing to the techniques on the wall, and this young lady, I just saw her face like a light bulb went off. She thought she was learning the material just to get through the material. I was like, no, you're learning the material because it's going to help you over here when you get to this point. It all builds on itself. You're not learning this and throwing it away. You're learning this because it's going to help stack, and you're going to elevate, and you're going to be able to adapt it to this higher rank material. It's all intertwined. All of it's together. And that's the fun part about Kempo is, Mr. Sullivan comes in. His whole point is, I'm in a fight. I want to get this guy done as quick as possible, right? I'm not going to hit there and scoop and bring in and roll him down. I'm going to take this hand and I'm going to put it in that guy's nose as fast as possible, and then I'm going to get the heck out of there. You have Huck Planis. Huck Planis is the encyclopedia of Kempo. right? You get like Larry Tatum, Mr. Tatum's doing his thing, Mr. Speakman's doing his thing, and all of these great Kempoists have something they can teach us if we're willing to not. Well, that's not my style of Kempo. Who cares about your style of Kempo? Kempo is Kempo. Motion is motion. What do are you in it just to hold a belt and stay among your people and get elevated there? Who cares? I'm so tired of these stupid stripes on the belt. It's like,
Yeah, there's yeah, it's really been, I don't know, kind of disappointing to me in that there are, people out there that are just about chasing status, chasing rank, and I mean, definitely, if you've put in the time and you've put in the work, that's great, and you should definitely be recognized for that. But that shouldn't be the most important thing, and that
yeah,
I see that as hindering the spread of the art. I feel like Kempo would be more more widespread if there wasn't so many people out there that are just interested in, oh well, I was under this person, or I was under that person, so you have to listen to me. It's like,
right.
who cares? Just let's get out and share this art with everybody that we can, and help get the word out there. But people have their hang-ups or
It is.
their issues. Or
It's I I try to expose my students to as many great martial artists as possible. I'm upfront with them. I tell them, look, I am not the world's greatest Kempoist. You know, at some point you may think that because you don't have any other reference. Do not elevate me. I'm in here working just as hard as you are to get better, whether that's teaching, whether that's training, whatever it is. I'm just, this is my outlet to try to better myself, and to help others. I tell my students, I was like, look, I'm not a Golden Gloves boxer. You want to learn how to box? It was a little easier when I was in California. I had lots of friends that did different things over the years. I could point a student to a good friend that does boxing or kickboxing, or a good jiu-jitsu stylist, right? Someone that I trust that isn't just going to beat the snot out of them, which unfortunately a lot of gyms are like that. But, and I was always just upfront with people. I was like, if you want to come to me to learn Chuck Sullivan's Kempo, I'll teach you that all day. I've been fortunate that I've went through a majority of American Kempo material. I am not ranked in it, but I learned from a gentleman named Willie Aguilar, which was under Frank Trejo.
Very nice.
I spent my time with Maurice Gomez with the 5.0, another fantastic martial artist. Not only that, my instructor, after I got my black belt, I bugged him enough that he started showing me some of that Trejo material. So that's why I was familiar with it when they were doing it here at the school. I was like, you're doing Dancer. I know Dancer.
Yeah.
I know Twin Kimono or Kimono Grab. I know those.
Yep.
And so, just being open to learning something new. I can learn from anybody. I was on the mat one day and I got corrected by a brown belt. And I thought about it, and I was like, damn, he's correct. For what he's telling me, he is correct. I was doing that incorrectly. And so if more people had that, I'm not saying I'm the most humble guy. I can fly off the handle. I'm sure lots of people that are going to listen to this would agree. I've made plenty of friends on the Kempo forums, believe me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But when you are able to take a step back and realize, it was something I was doing on long form 1. And it was something about the point of origin that I was doing. And I took it and I analyzed it and I go, damn, he was correct. That was, and he came to me. He was completely humble about it. Mr. Thompson, maybe we want to try doing it for this reason. Okay. And it made me a better martial artist for it. Right? He corrected that part of my long form 1. And now I'm a better martial arts for it. All because that brown belt made his respectful correction, right? And sometimes we look at lower ranks as if we're better or beyond them. We've just been doing it longer.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and
Exactly.
everybody's experience in life. Like I've had people that I've taught that do sports therapy, right? Well,
Mhm.
I'm not a sports therapist. I don't know any of that stuff. But this person coming in and be like, hey, look at these things throughout the training. This is how you can train safer. Train safer? Heck yeah. Let's start applying some of that stuff, right? Different stretches, different drills, different exercises. You bring all that stuff in, it makes not only you better, it makes your school better, right? And hopefully some of that rubs off on other places. My goal isn't just to inspire my students. It's for us to be a light to other places. My goal, so my instructor, my first one, Armando Deloa, he ran a school, but he was also the pastor of a church. And he used his academy to get people into his church. And so while I don't do that myself, I have always looked at the martial arts as a way to help people. And so that's where my mindset is with it. I don't care about me. Like I tell people this, I was like, look, you go to 100 people on the street, you may get 95 of them that you're a black belt. Who cares, right? The next 2% are people that are going to talk crap on your rank. No matter anything you do, they're all going to talk mess on your rank. That's okay, whatever. The only ones that really care are your own students and the people within your own organization, right? So that's what,
Yeah.
1-2% of anybody in this world. So if I'm not doing it for the status, why am I doing it? I'm doing it because I got this kid that's coming in. He's got anger issues. Let's give him somewhere to vent. Let's get him in a tournament. Let's have him win something. Feel good about himself. Oh man, I just won this trophy. I got a 3rd place, Sensei. Heck yeah, you did. You did fantastic, buddy. Now, you got a 3rd place. Let's work on getting higher on the next one. We're going to focus on that? Yes, Sensei. Get some focus. Too many kids got no focus, dude. I think you know that.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely been a change over the years, and uh, yeah, the focus and the mental attention, and yeah, it's
I've
definitely different these
noticed it
days than.
quite a bit. You know, uh, my instructor had me teaching as a purple belt. I was out there on the floors, and it just seemed like the kids had a little bit better attention spans back then. Now it's like the kids are all over the place. So how do we adapt, right?
Mhm.
I'm still learning. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So that's the fun part of the journey. Teaching is like a muscle. You don't teach for a long time, it atrophies. It goes away. There's an economy to words that you can develop when you're teaching. You know, I have the same couple dumb jokes that I spit out to the kids all the time. Makes them laugh. They love it, right? Hey, buddy, you doing good? Here you go. You know, how much? How much do pirates pay to pierce their ear? I don't know. A buccaneer. Ah, and everybody laughs. Kids love it, right?
Mhm.
But it's learning how to interact with kids, right? Why is the kid studying to begin with? Well, he's got anger issues. He's out there fighting in school all the time. Okay, I'm going to approach that kid different than the one that comes in and all he's ever known is sitting on his couch playing the Xbox, right? Those two kids are going to be different. I have to approach them differently. The kid with the anger issues, I can get a little rough with. Obviously not to hurt him, but hey, that's how you're going to interact with that kid. That's the only thing he's going to respect. While I have the other kid over here, you got to kind of approach it like, okay, buddy, like we're doing this thing. Let's kind of step it up a little bit, but that's how do you approach each student individually, right? It's a symphony. It's a balance. And that comes to the amount of time you teach. And that's why I encourage everybody to teach. It's help out. I tell people all the time, I was like, look, you have a church, you have a community center, I will help you start a program there. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
that's going to outreach more people. we're going to get these kids doing something positive. That's what we're about. I don't make money at my school. We do not make money. I spend money.
Yeah, not a ton of rich martial arts instructors these days.
And the ones that are, it's like, hey, that's their hustle. If people want to go to those schools, I get it. But it's a little rough, man. Like, I don't know if I could do some of the contracts they do, and they upsell you on a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're making a big dollar, but I'm blessed. I got a decent job. I get to do this for fun. I don't know if I'd enjoy it if I had to do it as a livelihood.
Yeah, it's it's a tough balance, but there's it's good that you're out there and working to make positive change in people's lives, and that's what this should all be about. uh I mean, if you can make money, that's great too, but just making us better people, and having something to do, definitely. Since the COVID days, and even before that, just getting I feel like we've really been getting away from just connecting with each other, and we're all on our screens and stuff, which I'm super guilty of that myself. I work in
Yeah.
IT, so I'm
Oh,
in a
okay.
screen and a phone all day long, every day. But except for when I go to class. So,
And that's
but
the beauty about training,
mhm,
right? It takes us out of our normal, and it puts us around people that maybe we wouldn't have been exposed to in the past. You know what I mean? In my school, I've got red Republican, I've got blue Democrat, I've got I've got young people with learning disabilities, I've got stud athletes, but they all come together, right? And we're too spaced apart, man. Too many people. It's my team or your team.
mhm,
And we forget that we're all trying to just get through this life together, right?
yeah,
It's like, dude, I'm just trying to feed my family. You know what I mean? I'm trying to spend time with
exactly,
my kids.
exactly,
I'm trying to hang out with my buddies on the karate mat. I've met some of the best people in my life on the karate mats. I really
hmm
have.
exactly.
People that I met my first day of training are still my brothers today. And, my brother is also a black belt, my actual brother. Um, and it's just been a huge part of my life, man. And I know that I've enjoyed it very much. And I always, I've had people come in, and maybe I'm not the school for you. That's okay. If you're still interested in martial arts, I will help find you a place that you're going to be comfortable, that you're going to enjoy, because I believe that much in the martial arts that they can benefit your life.
Amen.
You know?
Amen. So, so I've got a few little questions here as we kind of get close to wrapping up here. Um, so we'll just throw that out. So,
Hit me.
if you had to pick a favorite technique, or two or three favorite techniques, what would those be?
Okay. Well, I'll go a IKCA technique. I like. Let's see. I like dropping the storm. I like dropping the storm. I like thundering or repeating hammers, which is a variation of thundering hammers. Um, that's a good one. I like it. The change. So thundering hammers, you come straight across the abdomen.
Hmm.
I like it. Mr. Sullivan has changed it to a rising hammer fist up into the groin.
Hmm.
You know, kind of hit that angle a little better. Um, American Kempo side, five swords is always a classic.
Hmm. The All
Uh,
Stars.
the All Stars, man. I like triggered salute. The Tracy side, I've always liked dancer.
Hmm.
You know, and it's getting out there, and I like the 5.0 take on five swords. You know, I like what they're doing with a lot of the evolution of their art. They're doing some good stuff over there. So
Yeah, I've been curious to find out a little bit more about the 5.0 system and how
my understanding
that's
is they
going.
have an online program now that'll get you
Yeah,
up to the first couple belts.
yeah. I was looking into that a little bit. So uh, uh, it's on the to do list. Not
I
enough
know, right?
time. Not enough time. They need to add about 40 more hours to each day, and maybe I can get to all the stuff that that I've been looking at. But that's how it goes. The next little question here: do you have a favorite form and or set?
I like the IKCA Master Form. And the reason for that is you practice the IKCA Master Form, you're practicing all their techniques. So it's you start with the orange belt, work all the way through black belt, and it's 55 techniques. You work on those. It keeps it simple, right? But like anybody else, I do like Form 4. You
Yeah,
know,
that's one of the all
what
stars.
and I'll admit this: the only reason that I actually was taught Form 4 by my instructor was because he was learning it himself, and he used us to help him. Okay, this is how we're doing this, right?
Yeah,
So I
gotcha.
will admit I don't have a lot of the understanding within the form. I just think
Hmm.
it looks cool,
Hmm. Gotcha. Gotcha.
And so I like to be honest with all that. I'm not the American Kempo master.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the art, but I have a lot to learn about it still, and I love it. I get around all these old guys, and I just take it
Hmm.
all, just sitting and
Excellent.
listening.
Yeah. All right. And then the last question here: if there was anyone, living or dead, fictional or non, that you could train with, or have trained with, that you wish that you could train with now, who would that be? And if you can't pick just one, a couple people, that's fine.
Think here. Well, obviously, Ed Parker. That would be something that would be huge, as a martial artist. Other than that, probably Helio Gracie.
All right.
The original.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be able to pick that brain. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
could probably
Yeah.
take the most simplest technique and expound on it for an hour.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. Um, yeah, those would probably be the two. If I had to pick a third, not really sure. I mean, it'd probably be maybe Stephen Wonderboy Thompson from the UFC.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, how he has adapted his karate style, his point fighting style to mixed martial arts. Him and Michael Page,
Mm-hmm.
Venom Page. I find it to be a beautiful thing. I wish I would have adapted a little more of that myself when I was doing my mixed martial arts. But
Gotcha.
I was kind of like, man, I'm done with that. I'm going to do this now.
Yeah.
And I think it hindered me. But it would probably be Wonder Boy. So those three: Ed Parker, Helio Gracie, and Stephen Thompson. So
Okay. Awesome. 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 So I guess before we wrap up, is there anything else that you wanted to maybe mention or uh,
not at
anything
this
that?
time, man. I just want to encourage others, man. Help somebody. Teach others to teach. You know, um, it doesn't even have to be the martial arts. You play an instrument. There's people that want to learn how to play that instrument. Teach them the instrument. You know, if you're a writer, somebody's interested in learning how to be a writer. Take the gifts that you have and share them. Right. And I think if we do that, this world will be just a little bit of a better place.
All
Maybe we'll
right.
inspire others to inspire others. Just that wave, man. We get that wave going, and we just show a little bit of love and compassion towards each other. We'll get through this all together.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me, and um,
I appreciate the invitation. Thank you so much.
of course, of course, of course. So yes, thank you again, and we will talk again soon. And I will let you know when this is coming out, and shouldn't be too
Sounds good.
long. And we will go from there.
I appreciate it. You have a good night, my friend.
All right, thank you. You too.